What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host, Caleb. If you want to support me, you can always use that TCGplayer link in the description down below, or just liking, commenting, subscribing will do the trick. Now, let's get into today's Deck Tech with the Balrog. And right out of the gate, guys, I want to warn you, this guy's extremely powerful and extremely abusable. All we need to do is sacrifice a few stuff here and there, and we can get this guy down to just 2 colored pips to cast. And as long as we can sacrifice him and a treasure token, we can keep his commander cost down to just literally 2 pips, so he goes infinite with the kitchen sink. That's before we take into account it counts our opponents sacrificing stuff too. So if we force our opponents to sacrifice stuff with like a fleshbag marauder, we're going to lower his CMC by 4, assuming everybody has a creature to sack, right? So again, super abusable, and we're also putting our opponents farther behind whenever we play him. Not only are we forcing them to sacrifice stuff, but this guy is a 7/5 with haste that honestly people don't want to kill. He's hard to block, and whenever you do kill him, you're probably going to take away their commander along with him. And then you're just going to recast yours from the graveyard, or, you know, sacrifice 10 more treasures, get his casting cost down to 2 again, and boom, you've got 8 mana and a 7/5 again. This guy is a menace, and honestly, he is probably one of the more powerful commanders that came out of the Lord of the Rings set. So, if that sounds like a deck tech you're interested in, and you want to get into it, let's get into it. Let's kick off this deck tech by talking about all of those treasure token generators because I'm greedy and I like value. Impulsive Pilferer. Super solid. He enters the battlefield, you sacrifice him, you get a treasure token, and then you can sacrifice that. So that's going to lower your commander by 2. And that's before you encore him. If you encore him, you're going to get 3 token copies of him. And then when they die, you're going to get 3 treasure tokens. So this can go ahead and lower his cost by a total of 6 CMC. Black Market Connections is one of the perfect early game cards. Not only do we get treasure tokens to sacrifice, but we also get card advantage. The body's not terrible, but honestly we're really looking at that treasure and that card draw. Glowing and Pitiless Plunderer. Now whenever we're casting our commander, we're making a treasure token, and then whenever we sacrifice our commander, we are also creating a treasure token. These two with the Sac Outlet will go infinite, and we can cast our commander an infinite amount of times. Then you're just going to need a payoff, like hopefully the Sac Outlet is Goblin Bombardment and everybody's dead. Goldspan Dragon will also go infinite with either Glowing or Pitiless Plunderer. All you'll need to do is make sure you have 1 mana open to pay the initial cost, so you'll go ahead and sack a treasure for double black, and then tap a mountain for a red, boom, cast your commander, and then the next time that happens, you tap it for a double red. Now you have access to the colored pips, and again, you can cast your commander an infinite amount of times as long as you have a Sac Outlet. Grim Hirelings, just good in my opinion. Our commander is a 7/5, so we will be getting into that red zone and creating treasure tokens. The Reaver Cleaver, again, our commander is a 7/5. To be able to attack with this and create 8 treasure tokens is going to be super solid. Cavern Horde Dragon. Everybody's playing treasures, everybody's playing a lot of artifacts in their commander decks, so this guy has the ability to be cast for 2 red mana in all honesty, and then you can just enjoy smacking face, creating even more treasure tokens. Atsushi the Blazing Sky. This guy's really flexible in the deck. 100% we're sacrificing this guy to lower our commander casting cost, that goes without saying, but then we get the flexible option of either getting card advantage off of that or even more treasure tokens. Ruthless Technomancer, just casting this guy to sacrifice our commander to create a ton of treasure tokens is always a good move, especially when we have a couple expensive finishers in the deck. Brass's Bounty, again just creating a lot of treasure tokens to generate that fat mana. Xorn, another card that goes infinite with either Pitiless Plunderer or Glowing, right? Because we're getting that additional treasure token. Then we have card advantage that generates treasure tokens with Seize the Spoils, Big Score, and Unexpected Windfall. Deadly Dispute is also pretty solid, but the other ones are a little more splashy. Blood Money. Not only will this blast everybody to the Stone Age, but on our next upkeep, we're going to get a lot of extra mana in the form of treasure tokens to sacrifice, bring our commander back onto the battlefield, and hopefully go infinite. Moving on, let's get into those Sac Outlets we run in the deck. We have Blasting Station and Goblin Bombardment. These are the perfect Sac Outlets if you're trying to go infinite because they will machine gun down all of the players. Phyrexian Altar. This card also goes infinite with Pitiless Plunderer or Glowing. The only problem is there's no payoff with this one, right? We don't have a way to kill our opponents if we go infinite using Phyrexian Altar. So you do need another payoff, which we do run in the deck and we will get to shortly. Carrion Feeder and Vizier Seer. Now, these ones are solid because Vizier Seer will get you to the exact card you need to go infinite, and Carrion Feeder will just get massive. And remember, the Balrog will be destroying all of our opponent's creatures, so they will be very open to, I don't know, a infinite power carrion feeder. Greven, it's just going to be a super solid option to sacrifice our commander to draw 7 cards to refill our entire hand. Jury and Mayhem Devil. Now these are the sacrifice payoffs, right? Mayhem Devil will go ahead and end the game with any infinite combo. Jury's a little, clunky because you can only kill one player with him unless you have a way to bring him back, which we do have some in the deck, but you can use him to hold the table hostage, right? Hey, don't mess with me or I sacrifice Jury and you're just dead. Not to mention, he is a creature that will probably have an insane amount of power because we sacked our commander an infinite amount of times, so you can just take the route of hitting them with him. Fleshbag Marauder, Merciless Executioner, and Plague Crafter. You knew these guys would make the cut, and they definitely did. It's going to slow them down early game while giving us the opportunity to cast our commander at a very early stage in the game. Innocent Blood. Now, if you guys will join me in Magical Christmas Land for a second, we could get a turn 2 Balrog with this. All that needs to happen is every single one of your opponents has to have a 1-drop. Yeah, that happens all the time, right? And then, we have to play Impulsive Pilferer. All we do then is play Innocent Blood, everybody sacrifices their 1-drop creatures, and then we get that treasure token back. Sacrifice it, tap a mountain, and boom, you get a 6 discount on your commander, and then all you need is that treasure token mana and the mountain to cast your commander. But again, that's never happening. Liliana Dreadhorde General. Not only does this badass chick give you the ability to draw your entire deck if you go infinite, she will also give you the ability to make everybody sack a shit ton of stuff. Assuming everybody has 2 creatures to sacrifice, this can give you a 6 mana discount on your commander. Dauthi Voidwalker. What a solid way to screw over those graveyard strategies while also getting all of their value. I love this guy. Wayfarer's Bauble. Now this is a net loss because you have to pay 2 mana to sacrifice it, and then it only discounts your commander by 1, but hey, it might be impactful, so I thought I'd shove it in here. Diabolic Intent. Now you're tutoring for your combo pieces while again getting that discount on your commander. Lash of the Balrog. Not only is this a flavor win, but it also gives us another thing to sacrifice while destroying our opponent's stuff, again, giving us that discount. Skullstorm. This is a perfect card for if we just get screwed. We cast our commander a ton of times, and there's no way we're ever going to be able to cast him again, from the command zone at least. Skullstorm can be that perfect card to go ahead and end out the game. I cast my commander 1,000 times, his commander tax is an absurd number I'll never reach, but we can cast Skullstorm and bring everybody's life total down to 1. Because it does round up, it won't kill people, but hey, 1 damage should be close enough. And last but not least, we have Torment of Hellfire. Not only can this really reduce your commander's cost, but also could just kill people if we have enough mana, which again, remember all that treasure token generation? This card is going to win you some games. Moving on to the utility cards, we have Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots to protect our important pieces, Underworld Breach to get our stuff back from the graveyard, our commander could be one of those, Reckless Fireweaver, this can be another payoff for getting those treasure tokens to go ahead and end the game out, Chainer Nightmare Adept. At some point, we will not want to put our commander back into the command zone, so putting him in the graveyard and casting him with Chainer is going to be a perfect route. Moving on to ramp, we have Crowded Crypt. I like this because not only is it a mana rock, but it's also another payoff for our Balrog going infinite if we don't have something like a Reckless Fireweaver or a Jury, right? Now we just sack him an infinite amount of times, and then sacrifice this to create a giant army of zombies. Jessica's Will is just super impactful, adding a ton of mana to our mana pool while also getting us some card advantage. Arcane Signet, Rakdos Signet, and Soul Ring, the staples gotta make it in here. Moving on to card advantage, we have our early card advantage with Rin's Resolve and Reckless Impulse. This is just going to make sure you're hitting your land drops. Read the Bones, super solid. This will dig us 4 cards deep if those top 2 are trash. Grim Horspex and Midnight Reaper. Amazing because we are again casting our Balrog a lot from the command zone. Midnight Reaper will kill you though, but in the scenario where we are going infinite, we will be able to, axe him at any time, so it's not going to be that big of an issue, but Grim Horspex is better in that aspect. Wheel of Misfortune, super solid, a little bit confusing, but this card is amazing. Mask of Grizzlebrand. Now, I see this as 3 mana draw 7 cards, since we're sacrificing our commander a ton, and honestly, if our life total does get into our bind, our commander is a 7/5. We can just smash face with him and get our life total back up really quick. Moving on to our interaction, we have Bolt Bend, Wiles Reversal, and Tybalt's Trickery. These are effectively counter spells in Rakdos. They are not going to see these cards coming, and they honestly perform really well. Chaos Warp gets rid of any permanent that is causing us pain. Feed the Swarm, not that efficient, but hey, it does get rid of those enchantments, which we can struggle with, so this is going to be perfect. Vandal Blast, get rid of all the other artifacts. We're the ones playing artifacts here. We don't want other people to have them. Too greedily, too deep. This is going to be solid, you know, sacrifice our commander. Commander's in the graveyard. Then we cast this to just put him back onto the battlefield and wipe the board essentially. Toxic Deluge and Blasphemous Act are going to make sure we can get rid of those go wide strategies and honestly just the board in general. Sarkhan's Unsealing. Not only is this another way to win the game if we're going infinite by casting our commander an infinite amount of times, this can also just again deal with those token strategies, getting rid of all of those low to the ground creatures while also just dealing a lot of damage and being a perfect include in the deck. That's going to do it for the deck tech, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really had fun building this one, and let me know what you think about it in the comments. Last but not least, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors.